Hello, friends. Welcome into SBG News and Views. I'm your co-host, Robert Imbrielli, and I'm here with my buddy, Lewis Herms, and it is Wednesday. For many people, they call this, what is it? Hump Day? Ooh, oh, I like that one, but that's what it's called. So we've got a good show for you. I'm going to bring in Lewis right now because it's time to say hi, my friend. How are you?
Hump day.
Hump Day it is.
I'm doing amazing, amazing. All the stars are lining up in our favor. God's got our back, and we already won. We just haven't recognized it yet.
Yeah, a lot of us are waking up to the realities of what is going on, and I'm seeing it more and more every day. Had a conversation with my cousin this morning who lives in the Big Apple, and he's very much on top of what's going on. And I asked him, I said, what's it like in New York? Have you noticed anything different? He said, New York is trashed.
Wow.
Don't mince words there, Tom. Don't mince any words with it. Just tell us like it is, right? So I asked him, okay, more specifically, what's going on? This is the things he said. Retail's taking a hit. Retail stores are closing everywhere. The ones that are stuck around right now are some of the big box stores, but they're in trouble too because of the shoplifting. So he's seeing a lot of places go out of business. Prices have definitely gone up dramatically in the city. And they have this new thing now where they're going to charge you a congestion fee to come into the city. So not only are you paying exorbitant tolls over the bridges and tunnels, but you will also pay a fee. It was supposed to be Monday to Friday, but now it's going to be all 7 days a week.
Hmm.
So if your tolls are like $15 a day, believe it or not, it's going to add another $15 a day if you want to come into the city with your car, which is going to crush even more businesses. Because the weekend people don't take the train to go to the shows on Broadway and go shopping. They'll come in by car on the weekend. So
Who by chance gets that
craziness,
$15, Robert?
huh?
Who by chance gets that $15?
Yeah, exactly. This goes back to the city, right?
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So the ones that are driving people out, the ones that are exorbitantly taking advantage of everybody, the ones that cannot protect your city, the ones that don't keep it clean, now are charging you $15 if you want to enter our luxurious city. Well, it doesn't even make sense because there's less congestion there because people are leaving in droves. Yeah,
Yep.
they're going to charge you. It's just it's just the Hegelian dialect, opposite
It's
world.
it's
It's
the
just
march toward the 15-minute city is what it is. They want to get rid of the cars. They want to stop you having that freedom to hop in a car and drive around, do whatever you want to do, go wherever you want to go. That's too much. I mean, they attacked the airlines first, and they stopped a lot of people, including me, from flying a whole lot. And now they're going after the cars. Obviously, it's the next thing. So I said, how about the illegals? What's going on there? And he said the illegals are being prioritized over the natives for jobs.
yeah, I've heard
I
that.
said, really? He says, yeah, and they're getting $350 a week from the city, and on top of that, if they do apply for the job, they'll be prioritized. They're top of the list first versus people who've lived in New York City all their life.
So here's the good news:
Hmm.
the cities suck. Cities have always sucked. Cities do no good whatsoever. They are congested. Then they do create for real environmental
Yep.
issues, right? The life expectancy is in cities is a lot lower than outside of the city. In essence, they're doing us a favor. They are destroying these cities. It's going to be unlivable, uninhabitable very, very soon in many of these cities. So I believe, not saying this is a good guy move whatsoever, but I believe it's going to backfire on the deep state like everything else. And the cities are going to be. See, what happens, Robert, right now, and I think you can agree with this. 10 years ago, we used to hear, oh my gosh, I want to live in New York. I'd love to live in LA or Hollywood or San Francisco, right? Chicago. Now, what do you hear? There's no way I'm going to live in New York,
I
LA,
got to get out.
Chicago, or San Francisco. I don't even want to go in there. So what they're doing is they're by accident, I believe, is they're turning these places into places that nobody wants to go to, and that's part of the awakening process. I don't know. What's your opinion on that?
It really is, and you're seeing. My brother came out a couple of years ago, and we drove from San Diego to Las Vegas, and he had no idea how much open land there was, because all you hear on the media is there's too many people, there's too much population, blah 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 blah. And he's like, for miles around. We drove for that's like 4 hours from here to Las Vegas, and we drove through that, and it's like for hours, and for as far as you can see in every direction, there's absolutely nothing. And he couldn't believe it because he was so used to hearing how congested everything is and overpopulated and this and that. And it's like, no, there's a ton of space out there. We just haven't explored it yet. We haven't, put anything out there. I mean, you can go for what, an hour, hour and a half before you find a gas station
Yeah.
on your
And
way to Vegas.
everybody should be able to live on their own 10-acre lot. That's
Yeah,
just the way it should be. So
yeah,
and you don't know, but a running theme on Truth Tour 1 and 2, where we went all across the United States and back one way and then reversed it the other way on Truth Tour 2. The running theme, we have so many recordings of this, is we're joking, we're going through the heartland and all these other places where there's no houses, and we're singing overpopulated, can't put no one there. I mean, we're just having a good time because it's just so the fakery. And when
yeah,
Mark Atwood traveled over, he would have a normal assumption that we were overpopulated, and he's going, "What? There's so much land here." Yes,
yeah,
absolutely, there is. It's crazy.
yeah. And it's the same thing when I was on a cruise ship. We were down in the Caribbean, and you sit there on the cruise ship, and as far as you can see in every direction, there's sea, there's water everywhere. And people say, "Oh, the oceans are polluted. The oceans are polluted." I'm like, maybe some sections,
Yeah.
but not this big. This is a massive, massive body of water, and there was only one area that we were in. You know.
So there's the Great Pacific garbage dump, right? That is massively polluted because what happens is these, not the United States, but other countries put their stuff into the oceans, and what happens is the way the currents run, it pools up. So if you fly from California to Hawaii, you're going to see it. Literally, you fly over it and you'll see it's just trash
Wow.
everywhere. But it pools up. And the reason why I know this is because I had some discussions with my daughters before who were very, very liberal, and they kept complaining about this fake climate change. I go, well, why don't we talk about something that we know is true? Not the fakery, not the speculation, not Al Gore telling us what's going on. True. Well, I'm sorry, there's certain parts of the ocean, like you said, it's not all over. In fact, it's probably less than 5%. But there's certain
Right.
parts of the ocean that are just horribly polluted based on, and that is human developed pollution,
Hmm.
which we can take care of. So that's the only reason why I know about it, because I really started to dig into it. So I would speak with knowledge on the subject. Crazy, but you're right. 95% of the oceans are so clean, so beautiful, no problems. But guess what? What happened? You and I growing up, we would have paper bags in the grocery
Yeah.
stores, right?
Yeah.
Right? And then they wanted to do us a favor, so they gave us plastic bags because, of course, come from petroleum. It helps the petroleum industry. We're not killing trees, even though, even since the 70s, for every tree that is taken down, two are planted. People don't want to talk about that, right? They want to talk, but
Yeah.
I get it. The Brazilian rainforest was being destroyed. Well, that had nothing to do with the United States. That had to do with corporations from the United States, but people don't want to talk about that. That's the truth. So, anyways, we went from paper bags to plastic bags. I'm sure you remember. And then one sea turtle in probably off the coast of Japan. But ironically, it's the same people that impose these rules on us.
Yep. It is. It is. And there's a lot of exemptions they carve out for themselves too. If you start to look at some of these rules, it's not ubiquitous, which it really should be. If plastic bags were the problem, why can I get it at a hardware store and not a grocery store?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. It's like you got all these carve outs in there. It just doesn't. Yeah, it's not what they say it is. Let's see here. What's going on today, or this week, I should say, on the old Screw Big Gov? Tell us about the site. What's happening? Swag. And if you want to find me, I'm at Renegade Media on Telegram. We post a lot of stuff there, including the videos we play here and some that we don't play here as well. And if some people want to email me, it's Robert at renegademedia.tv. All right, let's get into today's happenings. interestingly enough. So what's the big thing that came out? The Reese report came out. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah, I actually I summarized it on Nicholas Veniamin yesterday.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. It's everything
So
you and I have been saying is happening. Well, we knew it 6 months ago. We were reporting on it 6 months ago, and of course now it comes out. Now it's official because Greg Reese put it out.
yeah,
But
well, Ann
they did
Vandersteel
do a
said she
good
was.
job, though. I'll give them
Yeah,
credit.
he did. Yeah, and Ann Vandersteel was saying that she was reporting it a year ago, and I think there was more than her. There were other people that were talking about. I think we were too, more than 6 months. I think it's much more than
Well, the
6 months
Arizona
ago.
thing we knew about a long time ago, where they actually
Right.
rewrote the oaths in Arizona, like and they don't look anything like a regular oath would look like.
Wow.
Right, Maricopa to be exact.
Crazy. Huh. Yeah, I have the video on Renegade Media. If you go and watch it, it's like a 5 minute video, and it really goes through all the different people who have no oath of office on file, and it's quite stunning to see that because then what the result is people are saying do not comply, right? These people are not in power correctly or
Right.
legally, and then the question then becomes, okay, so then you could look back and say, well, is Trump really the commander in chief then, and is this whole thing just a charade, which, the more you dig into it, the more it sort of falls into that category, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And speaking of President Trump, remember he posted, which was the reason why we created rememberyouroath.com, is he posted remember your oath. He gave us a
Yeah,
huge clue on that, and sure enough, because they already knew that nobody was taking their oaths.
yeah.
Um, but here's where you and I probably come to a major agreement. Just another reason why not to comply. If they're not taking an oath, that they're already unconstitutionally unfit to govern, which they
Right.
really are under the corporate constitutional structure. But that's too deep for most people. So let's just say, based on the fact that they didn't take their oath, why would we even listen to anything that they have to say? They're
Yeah,
illegal.
exactly. Yep.
They're illegal.
Yep. Yep. And that's what's coming out of this is people are saying do not comply anymore. Stop listening to them. They're not legally elected. They're not legally in power. They're not legally in office. And anything that they're telling you to do, in one ear out the other. Don't worry
I
about it.
but I think that's the reply, and I hope maybe we can create a campaign here right now that every time there's a social media post or something that comes down from any government official, just say, until you show me your oath that you actually took officially, we're not paying attention to you. You don't exist to
Right.
us. Literally
Yeah.
act like they do not exist unless they prove that they took an oath, the right oath.
And they
And
have to do it within 24 hours, right, of being elected to office. They
yeah,
don't have like, oh,
there
they
are
can just do it
there
now.
are
No,
some
they can't.
loopholes in there in regards to
Yeah.
that, but I believe it's within 72 hours max, something like that. You're right.
72. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, they can't just do it now after they've been in office for 5 years or whatever it is. Again, they can't turn around and do it. So he went into Kamala Harris. He went into the FBI chief. He went into Mayorkas, Buttigieg. All went down that whole list, and it's like, wow, all of these people who are making these horrible laws really have no power.
But they
It's
do.
interesting.
Because where do you really get your power from? This is what I want. So glad you brought it up because I put some thought into this. Where does anybody get their power from? They get the
For us.
power from the compliance
Yep.
of we the people. Only has power because you comply to what their demands are.
Yep.
So we need to think of that. So power comes from we the people, right? It's given, it's not taken. And I know people say, oh, they take it, they abuse their power. Yes, you're willingly giving them the power. So if we say, you have no authority here because you haven't taken your oath, prove to me that you have, I'm not going to listen, period. I'm not going to listen to you. Doesn't exist. Sorry. Nope. The more people that stand up with it, the corporation, the foundation of the corporation that we're under will fall big time because they will have no infrastructure to take care of and arrest everybody. I'm just like, arrest me? Where's your oath?
We've
Hey,
always
judge,
said that.
judge,
The
where's your
power's with
oath?
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. When enough of us stand and say no, they have no more power. We take it back.
That's exactly right. Ethan
So I
Lucas
asked
and I
I
were
asked
just
that a lot
having that
about.
same conversation today.
Yeah, well, I was asking that a lot about the Border Patrol agents, right? So you got Mayorkas out there who doesn't have an oath of office,
Does not.
never took it, and yet he's controlling all these border agents who are doing the exact opposite of what they were hired to do. They're processing illegals in
That's right.
versus stopping them, which is what their role is supposed to be.
Hmm.
So they're complicit, they're complying, and that's the only reason that that has power. If they all woke up one day and
He's probably losing by 30%. But
right,
anyways, so they see the writing on the wall. So what if this was a true Congress, what they would do is they would start to make decisions based on what the next president's going to be, not what this paper president is now, if that's true. The challenge is it's not true. We have all actors in there on both sides. Maybe there's 10 good guys in there. That's, and I know that's sad, and I know that sounds crazy, but it's okay. You know why? We don't need government. We never needed government. The Constitution is not based on a governing body governing us. Screw big gov stands for screw being governed, because we don't need to be governed. We need to put the trust back in we the people, and we'll make the right decisions, right? You,
right. Mhm.
the so-called overseers should only do that, and they should only oversee and come in and help us when we need help. That's it. So, is it a bunch of puppets acting? I think they are. Therefore, I don't know if there's any consequence to what we've seen because everything is optics, right? Maybe the Supreme Court's being pushed in a direction right now because they're afraid that they're going to be held accountable, that they may be making the right decisions. But that would make sense because why spend time on over 230 people in Congress getting them to do the right thing when you can just spend time with on 9 people in the Supreme Court getting them to do the right thing? Mathematically, I think it makes sense that the attention would
Yeah.
be on the Supreme Court. So it really doesn't matter what happens as long as they go through the due process, and these things always end up in the Supreme Court if there's a dispute and they make the right decision. So I think we overthink this, and I believe if it's God's work, it's simple, in my opinion. And the simple solution for me is the good guys are probably spending their energy on the Supreme Court, and they have a couple good seeds planted within Congress and the Senate just to try to keep their hands on stuff. It's only speculation on my part, though.
So can we make the connection then between this Greg Reese report, where all these people in power never took an oath, to the Brunson case? Because that's what it was based on as well.
I think we
They
can.
have that in their back pocket, right?
I believe that the lack of oath taking is going to become very, very, very prominent. But we've believed that since we've created Remember Your Oath. There's a reason
Right.
for that. And I
Hmm.
believe it's going to become extraordinary prominent in the near future. And how cool will it be is if you get the Supreme Court to do one ruling that if you did not take your oath, your position is voided at
Removed
that
immediately. Removed. Yeah.
at that
Hmm.
moment. And if you do take your oath post haste, then everything prior, every decision made prior, is voided, and you should give back your salary for that time. I believe it can come down to a situation where the Supreme Court holds one person accountable for the oath, and then we use that as precedence for everything else. Everything else. I think you'll find there's certain congressmen that didn't take an oath. I believe, let's back up for a second because I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too far. And Denise said exactly what I was thinking in chat. She goes, "Are you taking an oath to the corporation or are you taking an oath to the Constitution?" Two different things. Maricopa County has already proven to rewrite their oath, right? Secretly.
Yep.
They did great work, and there's warriors in Arizona that did great work, and I didn't know that. They brought it to my attention, right? So I believe the oath deal is going to become huge. But why is it so badass for us, we the people, the patriots? Because it's one singular issue that we can wrap our heads around and really just ask that one question. Where's your oath? No oath, no good. No, no good. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's that simple. So I'm going to run with this. I have a feeling. So I have some meetings with team members, including you, coming up over the next week, and I think this will be something we'll discuss and start to strategize on.
I really have to start showing up for these meetings.
You're
It's been really bad.
there. What are you talking about? You already know you're there. You can't play on that one because you were the first one invited.
I was the first one invited. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I was. Okay, cool. Donald Trump posted today that inflation is raging. And costs of maintaining a household soaring. Rent, electricity, garbage collection prices are all up nearly 6%. This is from Breitbart. The price of rent associated shelter costs have jumped more than 5% since March of 2023. So that's a year. Rent of a primary residence is up 5.7 since March of 23, up 4%, 0.4% since February. Water and sewer maintenance up 5.1 since March of 23. Garbage and trash collection up 5.8 since March of 23. Electricity 5.3, and repair of household items up 18% since March of 2023. This is reported in February of this year. So we're having this explosion of inflation, and you look at the economy. Now we're part of the economy, right? We have plans, we have events we want to do, we have things we want to sell, we have all of this, and all of us are looking at this and going, okay, with the economy the way it is, and people getting crushed financially in every direction, they have less discretionary income. Hurts all the businesses across the board. Then it gets harder, to build and do the things. And kind of the conversation I was having with my cousin this morning. It's like, you want to collect money for subscription, you want this, you want that. It's like, well, if they don't have it, they may want to do it, but they can't do it. Especially people on fixed incomes, on pensions and that sort of thing. It gets harder and harder.
It does. It does. Did you happen to, are you reading off the graphic that Trump put out that shows Biden versus Trump on it?
No.
Oh, really cool graphic that shows where all these things were under Trump and where are they under Biden. Um, they're really marketing the Trump, let's call him the Trump administration, if you think that
Hmm.
he is commander in chief. They're really marketing themselves really well now. In fact, they seem to be holding on to certain documents that they just release at a perfect time. So this is only going to get worse for the deep state and better for Trump and his supporters. So it's interesting to watch for sure.
You know which generation is the most fired up about this?
The
So you got the
youngster
boomers, you got X, you got millennials, and you got Z. Which one would you think is the most fired up?
about the inflation,
Hmm.
I would say probably either the people that have the 401ks or the Z.
The Z. The Z is the most. They're the young kids who can't afford anything,
Well, they
and
just
no
need to
matter how
move to
hard.
California and work in a fast food joint, and they'll get twenty
That's right.
dollars an
Serve
hour.
coffee.
What's the problem?
20 bucks an hour. There you go. I don't know how many of those jobs will be here. I mean, a lot of them, either the companies are going to close or they're going to hire fewer employees and put in more kiosks, self-serve.
Well, that's exactly what they're doing already. And the good news that I'm telling people that if you get to talk to a person at a fast food place a couple months from now, they'll be very qualified because the pool will be so large, the hiring pool to hire for that position. You're going to get a damn good employee. The challenge is he's doing the job that three people would normally do. So good
Yep.
luck with that.
Yep, it's already causing all kinds of interesting things going on around. We're seeing with the companies. One chain just decided we're not going to pay. We're closing.
Yep, I
It's like,
heard.
whoa, they didn't even try. So In-N-Out Burgers raised their prices. I know on the East Coast, you guys wish you had In-N-Out Burger, but you have something better. I think you have Checkers. I think it's the brand franchise that's out there. It's very similar.
So
Um,
I'm glad you brought up In and Out real quick before we move on.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
In and Out, if anybody understands Southern California, is a burger place, really good burger place, quality food. But you know what they've done is they hire the best of the best. They're always young people, but they pay more than virtually any other fast food joint out there. How the hell has this affected them? Because I can tell you, my daughter in California, she was she worked for In and Out, and she as a youngster, and she made it up to like level 7 or 8, which is very very high. Still, if I remember, when she left, she was still only making $22 an hour, which is was considered a lot. Entry level at the time was like 14 or 15.
Right.
So your entry level's now 20. You can't afford to pay 28 to $29 for that level 7 or 8 position.
Or more. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
they just can't do it. So what you've done is now you're going to have a lot of pissed off employees too. You're going to have a lot of people. In fact, I joke with some people. I'm like, okay, so if you work at say Best Buy and you're making really good money, $18.50 an hour, but you could be flipping burgers for $20 and you've been working at Best Buy forever.
Bingo.
Guess what
Bingo.
employees that you're going to end up seeing at Best Buy? Oh my Lord, I hate to see what they're going to get because they're not
Yep.
going to raise their prices. I mean, and
Yeah,
they
well,
have.
that's what that we're going to see that because you already are. I hear rumblings about that already. It's like, why am I in this job? I've been working here. I'm making 16, 18, $19 an hour, and starting pay over in the fast food industry is now $20. And so you're going to have a lot of people jumping. I just don't think there are going to be a lot of openings in that field. Could be wrong,
No, I think
you
you're
know.
right, as
Yeah.
usual. This
Well,
is the
I'm
Robert's
not
Right
always.
Hour.
Yeah, I tell you, my nickname in the world of, let's see here, I got to start this up. In the world of business was always wise before his ears, Rob. So
Good. I see
I was
that.
young back then. I had the wisdom, I guess. I just came through with it. Um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many of those jobs are there, how many of there are openings. But the economy, if you remember H.W. Bush, the reason he didn't get reelected was what? It's the economy, stupid, right?
That's what they said. I mean, if you believe the
They said,
narrative, we
yeah,
know they put in whoever they want at the time. But yeah,
yeah.
that's why he definitely pissed off of a lot of Americans. I remember that.
Well, his promise was no new taxes, right? That was the promise when he was elected. And after Reagan, and what did he do? He raised taxes.
Yep.
Like,
Go
there you
go
go.
figure. You mean a politician that lies to get elected?
Oh, can't
I
have
don't.
that now,
I don't.
can we?
Rob, I think you're jumping off of a conspiracy clip that's too far right now.
We got to come back here. We got to come back to the center. Yeah, so they were talking about the landlords too, and a lot of people get pissed off when their rent goes up. And one thing they did mention in this article was the landlords' fees have gone up as well, 5 to 8%, in some cases even higher. And so these are average numbers. So some are going to be higher, some are going to be lower. So we're just look at the average, and they end up being caught between a rock and a hard place because they don't want to raise the rent all the time on the tenant, but their expenses have gone up, so they don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
And then the tenants get pissed off at the landlords, and you just get all this friction that doesn't really need to be there.
And the government gets all the extra money. Go figure.
Yep.
Everybody's divided and their coffers are filled.
Have you noticed gas has popped up too? It's 5.50, 5.55
It,
here a gallon.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's 6 here. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's, more than we want to know, really. All right. Let's talk about our pets because that is the topic of the day. We always like to talk about our pets, don't we?
We do.
We do. You got two really cool pets here. Let's talk about these guys.
At Pet Club 247, and amazing enough, he actually has a lot of energy now. He's doing great. He seems to be very hungry. But as of yesterday, in over a year, we took him for his first walk, and he did phenomenal
Wow.
at 17 years old.
Wow.
Pretty cool, right? True story. And it's all because of the pet food and the supplements we give him from Pet Club 247. It just blows me away. It would just, I don't know. I have no problem promoting this because it's just a phenomenal company.
It is, and you can see the difference right away. I mean, with my cat, I saw the difference within a week, and actually sooner than that. His energy started to come back within days of adding this super sauce was what they call it to his regular food, and he just popped right up. And I thought, there was nothing that could be done. He's old, he's 14, almost 15, or whatever. It's like. What more can you expect out of a cat? And boy, this guy is out there. He will beg to, he doesn't care about anything. In the morning, he wants to go out hunting and he goes out hunting. He goes out after dark. He's like, but he wasn't doing that before. And this is what I like about this product is that you can see the difference with your own eyes. And when you can do that, you know you're onto something good. So you want to find out more about it? There is a link in the description of this video. Pet Club 24/7 is what you're looking for. And you will find more information about that. Give it a shot. Give it a whirl. Your pets will love you and you will love them more because they will have more energy to love you back, which is what we want, right?
Yep. Very cool.
Cool. Cool. Righto. All right. On to what's next on our list here. You posted this Stormy Daniels letter. I saw you post it on your Telegram. I was just in there for an unrelated reason, but I was in there and I found this letter posted. To whom it may concern, over the past few weeks, I've been asked the fact of the matter is that each party to this alleged affair denied its existence in 2006, 2011, 2016, 2017, and now again in 2018. I'm not denying this affair because I was paid hush money, as has been reported in overseas owned tabloids. I'm denying this affair because it never happened. I'll have no further comment on this matter. But eventually she did have comment on it, didn't she?
Yeah. And well, it's interesting enough. I kind of hinted at this article from President Trump a little earlier in the show where I said they have a cachet of evidence to counter what the deep state's going to do. They're like, if you can, you don't have to show it, but at the beginning of that, he said, what did we just find, or what was just found? Well,
Right.
that's BS. They've had it, they've cached it for this moment, and then right when the Stormy Daniels stuff starts coming up, they're like, boom, and this is another narrative completely destroyed in one freaking post.
Because Monday, this trial is supposed to begin in New York City with
So
Alvin Bragg, right? That's the whole thing that's going to
right.
start, and it's going to be what, 6 to 8 weeks?
Why for
Hey,
that?
you know, yeah,
Because
but
supposedly he paid $130,000 hush money. That's a 6 to 8 week trial. That doesn't even
crazy.
justify a 1 day trial.
No, it doesn't. Not at all. And you didn't see Bill Clinton being brought up on those charges with how many women did he pay hush money to?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know? Yeah. So it's one of these things. It's like if that letter is authentic, which it certainly looks like it is, it's signed by her. And of course, Stormy Daniels is not her name. It's her stage name, from what I understand.
Yeah, that's a typical stripper name.
Yeah.
A couple of people said they're not hearing my volume very good. I can put my mic closer. That's about all I could do, unless you have an
Yeah.
adjustment there.
No, I don't. With this system, I don't adjust your volume. You're coming direct to there. So
How's that?
I don't
Is
have
that
you on
better,
this side.
everybody? Give me a 5-5 if that's better. So, yeah, so Stormy the stripper, obviously she was offered money, book deal, yada, 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 right? This is the way the deep state actors work. Here's the sad thing. I'm not going to mention her name, but the lady that was just part of the trial where Trump was, I believe, wrongly convicted without a jury by the judge, said on an interview, "What more do you really need than that?" Right? What more do you need than that? But
But
yet,
it's inadmissible. They didn't allow it. They didn't allow it in the
of
court. It was
course not.
crazy. You know,
Yeah,
he could not defend himself, which is just every trial that he's been in so far. He's been not allowed to defend himself.
right.
You know,
Somebody
he's
asked me.
gagged now. In this trial, they can attack him left, right, and center, but he can't say a word in return.
So Edward's being mean to me. He says, laugh out loud. How would you know stripper names, Lewis? Uh, I either I have a past or I watch movies. You decide,
Well, hopefully, it's not a future
or the present.
or the present. How true. How true. Yeah. So this is going to be a spectacle. This should start, if it starts. We're assuming it will. It'll start on Monday, and Trump will be there in the courtroom. And obviously, the longer they keep him in the courtroom, which is probably why it's 6 to 8 weeks, keeps him off the campaign trail. You know, he can't do his big rallies, he can't do speeches, he can't do
Yeah.
fundraising, which is what he needs to be doing on any of them. I just haven't seen enough proof on anything to charge
No.
him with anything that he's been charged with.
If it was a real legitimate trial without corruption, the defense would only have to show that letter, and in 5 minutes, this thing would be thrown out.
The judge would stop it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you just say, Stormy, did you write this? You did write this. Were you being honest when you write this, or were you lying? I was being honest. Okay, out. Next. That's how
Yep.
easy it is. We don't have that type of judicial system anymore.
We have judges that are paid off. They're there to play a role. They're there to do the bidding for whoever is behind them, whoever is paying them. And by the way, I heard the payoffs are like 10 million, 20 million. They're massive payoffs too.
Oh yeah,
You
they're
know,
huge. They're huge.
they ask, what's your number? My number's not that. You know what I mean? I wouldn't do it for that much money. I wouldn't do it for even more money than that.
Right.
You know, can't go
Here's
against your morals.
there's a huge flaw in our judicial system that needs to be taken care of, and it should be illegal to judge shop. You shouldn't
Hmm.
be able to go to a judge and oh wait, we don't want that judge, we don't want that judge. Oh wait, let's try this, let's try this. Okay, now we got our judge, let's go for it. How
Yeah.
in anybody's mind could that even be legitimate? Everything about the judicial process should be completely unbiased, but it's not. It's a deep state run apparatus, is what it is.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, well, I think we're going to be on top of the Monday thing. So I really want to I want to see what goes on there. I think that's going to be crazy. All right, next story up, we have Julian Assange, and this is his Stella Assange, his wife, posting this at POTUS. Do the right thing, drop the charges, free Assange now. Biden says he's considering wrapping up the Julian Assange prosecution. Well, that's a twist, isn't it?
Well, I think the major twist is the president has should have no consideration whatsoever in regards to something like like this. So he's
He was
considering,
asked by the Australian government is what happened. The Australian government wants the charges dropped.
but
So I
so
don't
here
know
what he
how
said
they
that
have
he
leverage.
Biden is considering
Right. We're thinking about it, he said. Yeah.
it. It's never should be a Biden decision whatsoever.
Right.
So the fact that he says I'm considering means that the president of the United States has influence on the DOJ. Interesting. That in itself is a story to me because they're telling on themselves. They're saying the president
Yep.
has in which they're absolutely supposed to have zero influence on the DOJ whatsoever. So we're considering maybe dropping the charges. It doesn't matter if he says we're considering keeping the charges or compounding the charges. That should never be a White House discussion. So I find
Well,
that
there should
very,
be
very
no
compelling.
communication, and I should say collaboration between the DOJ and the White House. Not supposed to. They're different branches of the government. We got the
Exactly.
judicial and we got the administrative, and they're colluding, they're working together. Then you really don't have a free and fair, transparent government anymore. Now
Hmm.
you have a uniparty,
Yep.
right?
Exactly right. So
And I think
I
that's what
think
we've been seeing.
I think that's the untold story right here is this is an
Yep.
admission that the White House has influence over the DOJ. What? We knew it, but never got him to admit it. So I think that's pretty interesting. But that'll
That's
be a
probably the
nothing
bigger
burger.
story.
Maybe in the future we'll be able to go back to it and say, "See, this is what we were telling you." We'll see.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think Julian Assange is he's got a lot of damage, psychological damage from the abuse that he's been under. He's been tortured a lot in prison, and I know Tucker went over and interviewed him, but never aired anything from that. So I could only assume what's gone on there.
Yeah,
You know?
it's interesting, isn't it? And
Yeah,
sad.
it is. It is sad because he was is in many respects a hero for bringing to light. He didn't do any hacking. People gave him the information. All he did was publish it. He handled it and put it on the internet. That's all he did. He didn't go hack anybody's computer, which is what they're trying to get him on, but he didn't do that. That wasn't his role. That's not his skill. He's a journalist, not a
Right.
hacker. You
Well,
know?
every aspect of the deep state uses lawfare, right?
Yeah.
Look what
Yeah.
they're doing in Michigan with the exposure of the election over there. Of course, they arrest the attorney and trying to put the squeeze on her for breaking into the information, which is not what she did, right? So
Yep.
It's disgusting, and they're trying to uh, go after Darleaf, right? Because he says, I'm not going to give you the evidence that would compromise our investigation. Therefore, he's withholding evidence, and they're trying to go after him. So that's going
Yeah.
to get deeper, by the way, folks. I can tell you firsthand knowledge on that. That's going to get a lot deeper and better for we the people, I have a feeling.
I think so, and we'll see where this Assange thing goes. But we have so many. We have Snowden hiding out in Russia. The same thing. It's like he was a contractor. He actually did take data, right? And he's not arrested. He's still living free there, but he's in Russia. He can't come back.
Hmm.
But he did us a favor. He let us know what the CIA was up to, the FBI was up to. We had no idea before then. They had it really cloaked until you know he opened that up and said, "You guys aren't free. You guys are manipulated by these agencies."
Right.
That really started the ball rolling. So a VPN's not going to save you there. Sorry. We have a story here about Elon Musk. Let's put this one on full screen for you. Elon Musk says the next generation of Grok 3, Grok is his AI that he's created, will require 100,000 NVIDIA H100 GPUs to train. Now, if you know anything about this, NVIDIA is a video card company, right? That's basically what they are. They made these chips. They have leapfrogged tremendously Intel, who was the chip leader for generations now, by 30 or 40 years. They've been the leader in chip design and development. And NVIDIA focused solely on building a chip to create AI. And they've gone so far ahead. Everybody wants this chip. It's hard to get it, apparently. It's not an easy chip to get your hands on. And the numbers here are kind of interesting. Um, if you look at what they're saying, this is from Yahoo. Tom's Tech is what this was from. It was reposted on Yahoo News. That's not where it comes from. So Musk's venture XAI is currently training the second version of its Grok large language mode and expects to complete its next training phase by May of this year. The training of Grok's version 2 model required as many as 20,000 NVIDIA H100 GPUs, and Musk anticipates that future iterations will demand even greater resources with the Grok 3 model, needing around 100,000 H100 chips to train. The advancement in AI technology, according to Musk, is currently hampered by two main factors: supply shortages of advanced processors like NVIDIA's H100, as it's not easy to get 100,000 of them quickly, and the availability of, guess what? Electricity. NVIDIA's H100 GPU consumes around 700 watts of power.
Oh,
One chip.
Lord. Lord.
That is most CPUs, the top of the line CPU in your computer is 90 watts. That's about the top end.
Hmm.
This is 700 watts when fully utilized. And thus 100,000 GPUs for AI workloads could consume a whopping 70 megawatts of power. Since these GPUs need servers and cooling to operate, it's safe to say that a data center with 100,000 NVIDIA H100 processors will consume around 100 megawatts of power. That's comparable to the power consumption of a small city.
That's right.
Woo!
Now let's take it to another level they're not talking about yet. If you're familiar with computers and processors, you need a cooling system. The cooling systems have to be incredible
Yep.
on these, I would assume. In fact, I've learned from my sons recently that computers now have liquid cooling systems
Mhm.
inside of them, not just the fans and the vents and all these other things going on. They actually have liquid cooling systems. So I can imagine the heat that would come off of these things. Are these going to be places that you'd be afraid to walk into? Can all these things burn up at one time? I mean, the ramifications of such power is very, very deep. So
Well, they
definitely,
included cooling in
Nikola,
that.
Nikola Tesla, come back. It's time for free energy.
Yeah, well, they included the cooling and servers and cooling to operate, so that's why their 100 megawatts comes in. But I had a friend who has a mining operation up in upstate New York, and they got shipping containers, and on each side of the shipping containers, they put giant fans, like like you'd have in a greenhouse, one pushing in, one pushing out, and all the GPUs are down the center because they generate so darn much heat. So they cut the sides off of both sides of the shipping container and filled it with these GPUs just to keep them cool. They generate a tremendous amount of heat. But he's
Okay.
mining Bitcoin, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting because AI development is going really quickly. So he's talking about training. So Grok right now, if you subscribe to X, if you're paying the $8, $12, $16, whatever it is per month, you have access to this. And it's supposedly a non-biased AI because it's being trained by what? All the posts on X. And since they removed many, not all of the restrictions as far as free speech goes, it's a more balanced iteration, if you will, than they were getting before with Twitter. Twitter was very censored, and it was just one-sided. So Google's AI was being trained on Twitter, and that's why they say it's biased. It's biased because that's the data that was going in, garbage out. So
Hmm.
this one's supposed to be a little bit more balanced. I played with it a little bit, but the new version, version 2, will be coming out, like they say, pretty much at the end of May. And now they're planning for version 3, which who knows how long that's going to take. I don't know how long it's going to take to get 100,000 chips out of NVIDIA. How fast can you make them? It's
Well,
crazy.
you just gave me a task. I'm going to go into, I have a task manager. I'm going to type it in. Play with Grok. For you football fans, I'm not saying Gronk. Play with, play with Grok. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I know a couple of phrases that X still will shadow ban me and not post my stuff on. I will be putting those phrases into Grok and see what happens.
See what happens. Yeah, you see what kind of results you get. AI is hit or miss at this point. I think and it's really odd to call it, intelligence because it's not thinking on its own. Although Musk is now saying that by 2026, AI will be able to think on its own and create new stuff. Not so AI right now is just regurgitating what exists, right? So it's just looking at all this data. And when you ask it a question, it's just going into its banks and seeing what it has, and it brings that up
Hmm.
as the answer, if you will. And what he's expecting is by 2026, you'll be asking it a question, it'll be creating the answers out of its own intelligence without necessarily having to go back and look at past data.
So that's scary.
Yeah, and you look at it too, and you look at all the things that they're doing with the AI, especially in the video world, and the photos that they can create, and all this. It's like it's crazy how quickly that's come about. I mean, it was, we had only dream about this. I was a photographer in the 80s, and we didn't even have Photoshop back then. So everything you had to do had to be optical, had to be actually done in the studio, all the special
Hmm.
effects,
Hmm.
right? You couldn't combine images, couldn't remove backgrounds. And now it's like snap of the finger, put Lewis on a golf course, boom, he's there. You know what I mean? Put a castle in the back, boom, there's a castle. Put a moat on that side, bang, it's done. And you look at the image and it's like, it's darn near perfect most of the time.
Except
Sometimes
Lewis
they give
has
you some
six
crazy
fingers.
stuff.
Other than that, we're good.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you know what though is one of the scariest things for me, and I know we have to, both you and I have appointments to go to soon, but one of the scariest things for me is if AI is taught to hack. Think about the ramifications of that. It when
Lewis, we're
AI
there already.
No, I mean a whole nother level. Like
Hmm.
if it starts like Elon says in 2026 where it can think for itself and to make adjustments. So it hacks, oh that didn't work. Let's try this hack. Let's try this hack. Okay, now we're in. Let's do this and do this. Woo! That's
Yep.
that's some scary stuff right there. When it's
Yep.
able to hack into anything, you're scary.
Gary is right. We have a product that we love to talk about. Our friend Lance is behind this product, and both Lewis and I love it. Why? Because it tastes so darn good. This is pine needle extract from sbgascent.com, and it promotes a healthy respiratory function, supports a healthy immune system, assists in brain and nervous system health, and supports a healthy detoxification process. Not expensive, but boy, is it a great product. Lance is a stickler for quality. And one thing you can depend on with him is he sources the raw ingredients that go into any product that he makes. He could spend years on looking for the right stuff. And he found these pine needles up in Canada, wild grown, no pesticides, no herbicides, nothing like that. And he creates this amazingly clean, and that's probably the key word of his whole company is clean. His
Mm-hmm.
supplements are really clean, and he created this pine needle extract that is really clean. There's so many supplements. We're going to be talking about many of the other things that are on that website as well. So SBG Ascent, you want to find out what Lance has been creating. We thank Lance and his company for supporting our show, and we will have Lance on here very soon to deliver a little bit more content because, boy, oh boy, he's the man. The man is young, but he is brilliant, isn't he, Lewis?
Oh, he's brilliant. So
Yeah.
I traveled recently to Florida, and I had breakfast with Lance, and he's just a phenomenal guy. You can trust him forever. You know if he says he's looking into something, he's looking into it. He has nothing but the health and prosperity of planet Earth and the people on his mind when he's doing this stuff. So
Yeah.
the pine needle extract is just one of many products he has that are vetted and amazing work, and they're extraordinarily affordable. So support Lance for sure and what he does, and just another avenue to get healthy at sbgascent.com. It's good stuff.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, we have to cut a little short today. We've both got things going on in our little private world, but we want to thank you guys for being here, being part of the show today. We appreciate it. And Lewis, what do you have coming up tomorrow? I hear there's something going to pop that's going to be really cool.
I think in it there's a Q and the A in the sentence somewhere. So I'll be
Oh.
doing a Q and A. For some reason, people like to hear what I have to say. I think you guys are wacky. I'm not quite sure. So go on to Telegram or wherever else you can find us and post your question for the Q&A, and I will give you just an absolute ridiculously horrible answer that you cannot take to the bank. But it'll be fun and honest.
Yes, absolutely. Look forward to it.
And then we have a special coming up Friday. Um, we're interviewing somebody that has incredible information about the markets and the financial situations, total patriot. So look for that special interview to come this Friday also. So got a busy
Cool.
week. Robert and I will be traveling over the weekend and next week, but we will still do our due diligence and bring the truth to you right here.
Bring the heat, as it were. Lewis, you don't have to hang out during the outro if you want. If you got to run, no problem.
You know what?
We'll see you all tomorrow.
Can we do something real quick, Robert?
Mhm.
I have a minute. So since you said
Okay.
we need to bring the heat, let me do my segment on the heat. And I'm actually going to, all I'm going to do is read something I posted, which had went viral almost 3 years ago. And to this day, it keeps popping up. So hopefully this will help people because ultimately that's what we care about. So I'm going to read that right now, really quick. Many people say I'm now remember guys, this is almost 3 years ago, but I believe it's super relevant. I'm so confused. I don't know what to believe anymore. Is anybody feeling that way? Well, I hope I can help. First, you must understand that your confusion is intentional. Unfortunately, the good guys and the bad guys are in a spiritual informational war right now. So deception is the weapon of choice. When in doubt, I recommend going back to the basics, the foundation. Forget for a second about clones, aliens, dumbs, and adrenochrome, and who's good, bad, or who's under the mask. What do you really know? Trump being covered up by the elites. Most importantly, God wins, but would love to have an assist from we the people. So go back to the basics and don't get your mind bent on what's real or not. I hope this helps refocus you a little bit. with love
Awesome.
to all true patriots.
Awesome. It's exactly what we needed to hear today. Yeah, no question.
Have a great evening.
Well,
Love you, Rob.
thank you. Love you all. We'll see y'all tomorrow.